at home. Now, that doesn't eliminate the fact that this is still working. You know, he takes care of the house. He does the homeschooling lessons. He takes care of the cooking and the cleaning, you know, and makes sure that the boys get to their doctor's appointments, etc. Because that's work. That's all in this process. So I think instead of just looking at it as who is bringing in money, we need to start breaking this down a little bit further and talk about also about the wellness of the whole entire family.
Okay. I have, Constance Craven. She's in, I believe she's in the, the chat. And, she's saying that two-family incomes can work. She says, her and her husband have been married for 13 years, and, they always had extra money. Both of them work. Now she says she's no longer working, but her husband's income is still enough to support them, to support the family. So, my question is to Constance Craven is, are you living below your means, within your means, or are you it's just always been able to work? So I'm going to let her let me know how that situation. They have 4 young children. They're doing fine. So I guess you found that balance of some things you got to give or live within your means.
Well, I think that sister made a really good point, and it's like, okay, they were doing it, for so long, the two of them. And I think my whole thing is we have to also look at the fact that now they successfully are accomplishing what they need to accomplish with one income. And I think a lot of people forget the fact that a lot of the things that we do unnecessarily comes from the fact that there are 2 people outside of the home. And in actuality, a lot of the income that is lost is because of the fact that both parties are outside of the home. And that's just my standpoint. Now, I got some, some reasons that I do believe that this is true, because, as I said, the decision wasn't hard for me, but it may be harder for some other folks. So I'd like to just add some of the things that I found that when both parents are working outside of the home, some of the difficulties and some of the stresses that come, and I'm sure, a lot of people are looking at it as based on the fact that there are just going to be 2 incomes, and that's enough. So if you're ready to hear me, I'm trying to let you guys know what's going on. And this is just these numbers and figures that I'm throwing out are only the figures and numbers from my area, strictly from my area. Now, the cost that it would take away from our income, even if we had, the 2 incomes, the 2 working incomes outside of the house, would actually not be as stable as some folks looking at it on paper. A lot of time can be missed from work, which will decrease your income and possibly make you lose a job. Things like breaks from school, sick days, doctor's appointments, field trips, God forbid, bad behavior, a sick child or sick parent. When both people are outside of the house working full-time jobs, we tend not to think about all of the other things that can pull us out of work and essentially pull our income away from home. 20% of people who work full-time, both moms and dads, or however your family is made up, tend to eat out more just because of time restrictions. And a lot of folks, I don't think, look at it that way. So you with me so far?
Yeah, I'm here. And just Constance Craven said, they've decided basically the things they rather splurge on. They prefer eating out. That's their splurge, but they know how to, come back. So you got to have that balance, and that's the whole thing. Some people have to understand. You have to have balance.
So was the sister saying that she ate out a lot while she was working, both where her and her spouse were working, or is that just something that she prefers to do as opposed to cooking her food in her house?
She says now that's their preference. They prefer to eat out more, but they have that balance on what they're willing to give up. So it can work. And, I'm going to bring, the positive of a two-family income. Two-family income, it does put more in the pot, more to work with. So, but it's a twofold with that. If you're the type of person where you're both making $40,000 a year, so you bringing home $8,000 a year, you have a family of 4, you and 2 kids. That's the average, right? You live in a home, you're paying $1,800 in a mortgage. You both have a car, one of you have a car. But if you're one of the type of people where, let's see, everything has to be name brand. You're not going to shop at a bargain place. You're not going to shop at the Walmarts and Targets. You're only Neiman Marcus, or you're only, high dollar, high end stuff. You got to drive the nicest cars. You're not going to drive that Honda. You want a Mercedes. Yeah. One thing you got to learn, though, is you can have things you need and the things you want, but why give up something and end up with nothing? That's the balance. Now, you got people, hey, they're the same people making $80,000 a year. However, they found a home, they fixed it up instead of having all the bells and the whistles at the front. Their mortgage is $1,200. That's $600 less. One of them, they got one family car, and the person who's really out and about that doesn't need to drive takes public transportation, or they have a schedule where they're sharing the car, or they can both have a car, but they're both driving something within their means, and they're still able to dress nice. It may not be that high end, but they still look nice. They're still able to put money aside. They're still able to go out, do entertainment, eat out, those kind of things, take a family vacation. So that two-family income does afford them things, but the problem is us as, people of color, we come up with this thing where, they say we're supposed to be the least in the population, will be like 12 million from their last count based on their numbers. But we spend like $50 billion a year. But how is that possible? We spend the most, but we're the least here. So that lets you know that somehow we're not balanced. So, but it's, we're commercial people, and we shouldn't be commercial people. So,
well, I hear where you're coming from, and I understand that we talk a lot about spending. Two incomes means more spending. But I kind of want to veer off of that just for a minute. I'm going to play devil's advocate here. Let me play the devil's advocate, because I know that when you look at $80,000 between two people, you're thinking that's a lot of money. That's pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
But we're looking at that on paper. That's just paper right now. Because when you bring home your paycheck, when you bring it home, that's not it. A great deal of that income goes elsewhere. Now, I'm not just talking about taxes and, those other things. We're talking about also health insurance. We're talking about more increases in the things that wouldn't be an increase if there wasn't two people trying to do this. So I want to just think about that just for a minute and say that $80,000 between the two ends up coming to about, when you think about the take home pay, when you think about what you actually bring in the house,